It was an ordinary Tuesday afternoon in New York City, the bustling streets alive with the usual symphony of honking taxis, chattering pedestrians, and the distant hum of subway trains. Suddenly, the cacophony was drowned out by a series of deafening booms that echoed through the skyscraper canyons, causing a ripple of panic. People stopped in their tracks, their eyes drawn upward to a sight that silenced the city, a massive fleet of alien spacecraft, looming ominously against the blue sky. At the Pentagon, the Situation Room was a flurry of activity. General Davis stood at the forefront, his eyes narrowed as he analyzed the live feeds from various global news outlets displaying the alien armada. The room was filled with military personnel and advisors, all waiting for his command. "Get me a direct line to the President, and patch through to the UN Security Council," General Davis barked to an aide. As the aide hurried away, Davis turned to the large screen displaying the largest of the alien ships. On the streets of Manhattan, people pulled out their phones to capture the unbelievable scene. Among the crowd, Sergeant Miachin of the National Guard kept her calm, directing people to take cover and prepare for any possible scenario. "Keep moving, folks. Let's not panic. Head to the nearest building and stay inside," Mia shouted, her voice authoritative yet reassuring. As Mia coordinated with local law enforcement, her radio crackled to life. "Sergeant Chen, report to Command Center Stat," the voice on the other end commanded. "Copy that, on my way," Mia responded, giving one last look at the sky before heading off. Back in the Pentagon, General Davis received the communication he was waiting for. The President appeared on screen, her expression grave. "General, what's our status?" the President asked succinctly. "We have an unknown number of alien crafts hovering over major cities around the globe. Their intentions are unclear, but their approach was not subtle," General Davis reported. "Do we have any communication from them?" the President inquired. "Not yet, but we're monitoring all channels. We'll know soon enough if they wish to talk or..." Davis's voice trailed off as he considered the alternatives. Just then, the alien ships activated a broadcast, and a voice unlike any human voice filled the room. It was metallic and resonant, speaking in perfect English followed by a dozen other languages. "People of Earth, we are the Zorlax. You will surrender your planet to us or face annihilation. You have 24 hours to comply," the voice declared, the message repeating in a loop. In the Situation Room, a stunned silence followed the threat. General Davis broke the silence. "Prepare all forces for a potential engagement. I want options on the table within the hour." The President nodded solemnly. "General, ensure our civilian defense systems are ready. I will address the nation tonight. We need to keep the public calm and prepared for any possibilities." "Understood, Madam President," General Davis affirmed, turning to his team. "Let's move, people. Time is not on our side." As the team dispersed to carry out their tasks, Sergeant Miachin entered the room, her posture rigid and ready for orders. "General, Manhattan is secured for now. Evacuation protocols are in place should we need to move civilians quickly," Mia reported. "Good work, Sergeant. Stay on alert and coordinate with other units. We need to be ready for anything," Davis instructed, his gaze returning to the screens displaying the alien ships. "Is that it, then? They just show up and expect us to roll over?" Mia asked, her tone a mix of anger and disbelief. "It seems so, but they've underestimated Earth's resolve. We'll stand our ground, Sergeant. Get to your unit and await further orders," Davis said, his voice firm with resolve. "Yes, sir," Mia saluted before exiting, her mind racing with the gravity of the situation but ready to defend her planet. As the world waited with bated breath, leaders from every nation prepared their responses. The alien ultimatum had been delivered, but the people of Earth were not ready to give up without a fight. The stage was set for a confrontation that would deter. The sun set over the United Nations headquarters in New York, casting long shadows across the assembly hall now bustling with the urgent convening of world leaders. In the midst of a crisis unlike any other, the massive screen at the front of the room displayed the imposing figure of the alien emissary, Sorlox, who had delivered the harrowing message to Earth. His tall, slender form and piercing eyes seemed to scrutinize each member of the assembly as he reiterated his threat. "You have 24 hours from now," Sorlox's voice echoed through the chamber, his tone devoid of emotion. "Surrender your planet or face consequences far beyond your capacity to withstand." As his image flickered away, a heavy silence hung over the room. It was broken by the Secretary General, who stepped up to the podium, his voice steady despite the tension. "This is a pivotal moment in human history. We must unite and respond with a single voice. Let us discuss our strategy." The U.S. President, Elena Martinez, rose from her seat, her expression resolute. "Let me be clear, we will not, capitulate to threats. Our response must be firm. We need a coordinated military readiness while we explore all diplomatic avenues." Her British counterpart nodded in agreement, adding, "We should also consider the global panic. Our people need reassurance that we are handling the situation. Public communication must be strong and clear." The Russian president leaned forward, his brows furrowed. "Yes, and what of our nuclear options? Are we to consider this as well?" A murmur of dissent rippled through the room. The Chinese premier spoke up, "We must consider the global aftermath of such actions. Our priority should be to disable their technology without catastrophic repercussions." As the debate ensued, Sorlox's ship, a colossal structure looming just beyond the Earth's atmosphere, broadcasted his message continuously, adding to the gravity of the ticking clock. Back at the Pentagon, General Davis convened a secure video call with military leaders worldwide. "We have less than 24 hours to formulate a defense strategy that could involve direct engagement," he stated bluntly. "Dr. Liu, what can you tell us about their technology?" Dr. Emily Liu, who had been studying the brief clips of the alien ships, adjusted her glasses. "Their shields react to high-frequency energy pulses. If we can disrupt their shield frequency, it could expose their crafts to physical attacks." General Davis considered this. "Prepare our EMPs and coordinate with all space-capable nations. We'll need a synchronized strike if it comes to that." Meanwhile, in the corridors of the United Nations, whispers of conspiracy and fear mingled with those of courage and defiance. Journalists from every corner of the globe reported live, their broadcasts a beacon of information to the anxious world. Sergeant Mia Chen, back in New York and now in charge of a makeshift command center, kept her team focused on maintaining order. "Keep the streets clear and stay in communication with the National Guard and FEMA. We need to be the calm in the storm," she instructed her team. As the deadline drew nearer, back in the United Nations, a consensus was emerging. The Secretary General addressed the Assembly once more. "It is decided. We will not surrender. We will stand united in the face of this threat. We will prepare for all possible outcomes and hope for a peaceful resolution." President Martinez took the floor once again, her voice ringing out with determination. "Let us be the authors of our own fate. We will meet this challenge as we have others, with unity, with strength, and with resolve." As the assembly came to a close, leaders filed out, each returning to their respective countries to prepare. In the quiet of the emptied hall, the Secretary General looked up at the now silent screen, a silent vow to protect Earth's sovereignty echoing in his thoughts. The world waited, a collective breath held, as the final hours of the ultimatum ticked down. In a dimly lit room deep within the Pentagon, the tension was palpable as General Davis convened a crucial meeting with the world's top military strategists and a select group of scientists. The room, usually reserved for high-security discussions, was filled with the sound of urgent whispers and the soft clicking of laptops. Dr. Emily Liu, the astrophysicist who had offered a glimmer of hope in their previous meeting, stepped up to the front with her presentation ready. "Thank you, General. Ladies and gentlemen," she began, her voice calm yet assertive, "Our analysis of the alien technology has revealed a potential vulnerability in their propulsion systems. Their ion drives seem particularly sensitive to specific electromagnetic frequencies." On the screen behind her, detailed images of the alien ships highlighted the ion propulsion engines. "If we can generate a powerful enough electromagnetic pulse at the correct frequency, we might be able to disable their ships, at least temporarily." General Davis nodded, his eyes scanning the room. "Dr. Liu, how feasible is this? And what resources will you need?" "We'll need to retrofit some of our satellites with EMP devices capable of delivering a focused burst," Dr. Liu explained. "It's risky, and we'll need cooperation from our allies with satellite capabilities." The British Defense Secretary chimed in via video link. "We can reposition our satellites over the Atlantic and coordinate with you. Time is of the essence." General Davis turned to his technical team. "Get me a secure line to every space-capable nation. We need a global effort." Meanwhile, at the United Nations, the atmosphere was charged with a mixture of anxiety and determination as diplomats worked around the clock to maintain an open line of communication among nations. The Secretary General, having just finished briefing his staff, stepped aside to update President Martinez. "General Davis is coordinating a possible counterstrike using EMP technology," he informed her quietly, away from the bustling activity of aides and advisors. President Martinez, looking weary but resolute, nodded. "And the public? We're keeping the full details under wraps for now. The last thing we need is a global panic on top of everything else." Back at the Pentagon, Sergeant Miachin was tasked with preparing the ground defenses. "Listen up, everyone," she addressed her team, her voice cutting through the murmur. "We have our orders. Secure all critical infrastructure and prepare for potential ground engagements. I need every unit on high alert and ready to move out at a moment's notice." As the teams dispersed, General Davis received an update from the Joint Chiefs. "Sir, all forces are on standby. EMP deployment is scheduled to begin within the hour." "Good. Keep me updated every 15 minutes. We can't afford any delays," Davis replied, turning his attention back to the global communications network buzzing on his desk. In space, the retrofitting of satellites began with intense speed and precision. Engineers from multiple countries worked in unison, guided by Dr. Liu's specifications. Each satellite was equipped with a newly designed EMP device, ready to fire on command. The world waited as the hours ticked down, each minute stretching longer than the last. In homes, people huddled around their televisions, waiting for updates. In government bunkers, leaders prepared statements, hoping for the best but planning for the worst. As the final preparations were made, General Davis and Dr. Liu shared a brief moment of quiet. "Dr. Liu, if this works, you may well have saved the planet," Davis said earnestly. Dr. Liu smiled slightly, the weight of the moment not lost on her. "We're not out of the woods yet, General. Let's hope our aim is true." The strategy was set, and the pieces were in place. The world stood united, not just in defense of their homes but of their very existence. The clock continued to tick down, each second now a countdown to either salvation or catastrophe. Under the cloak of darkness, the global network of reconfigured satellites orbited silently above Earth. In the Pentagon's Situation Room, the atmosphere was thick with anticipation. The array of monitors displayed the positions of the satellites, each lined up to unleash a coordinated electromagnetic pulse, EMP, aimed directly at the alien fleet. General Davis stood at the head of the table, his eyes locked on the screens. "All stations report readiness," he announced, his voice steady despite the tension that gripped the room. Dr. Emily Liu, standing beside the general, adjusted the settings on her laptop, ensuring the frequencies were perfectly tuned to the alien ship's vulnerabilities. "EMP charges are set to go, General. On your command." With a deep breath, Davis gave the nod. "Initiate the first strike." The command was relayed, and the room fell silent, waiting for the result. Moments later, the first reports came in. The screens flickered, showing the bright flashes of EMP bursts lighting up the space near the alien ships. Direct hits on targets Alpha and Delta. Awaiting status on effects, one of the technicians reported, his voice tense. Sergeant Miachin, who had been coordinating ground forces, watched closely. Her radio crackled to life. "Sergeant, we're seeing some activity in the alien fleet. Several ships are descending towards the atmosphere," a voice reported urgently. "Keep sharp, everyone." "This could be their countermove," Mia responded, her focus unwavering. Back in space, the effects of the EMPs became evident. Several of the alien ships began to lose altitude, their control systems visibly disrupted. Cheers broke out among the satellite teams as they witnessed their efforts yielding results. However, the victory was short-lived. Sorlox, aboard the flagship, quickly adapted to the human strategy. "Reinforce ion shield harmonics. Repel the terrestrial interference," he commanded, his voice resonant through the alien fleet. On Earth, Dr. Liu watched the data streaming in, her brow furrowed. "They're adapting to the EMPs. We need to increase the frequency range and hit them again before they fully recover," she suggested urgently to General Davis. "Authorize the adjustments, Dr. Liu. All units, prepare for a second strike with updated parameters," Davis ordered, his voice echoing through the Pentagon's communication channels. As the teams worked feverishly to recalibrate the satellites, the global defense networks remained on high alert. In New York, Miachin and her team fortified their positions, aware that the alien ground forces could be deployed any moment. "Look alive, team. This isn't over yet." "Expect anything," Mia warned, peering into the night sky through her binoculars. In the United Nations, world leaders gathered in an emergency session, watching live feeds from military command centers. The Secretary General addressed the assembly, his voice firm. "We must remain united and resilient. The next few hours are crucial to the survival of our planet." Meanwhile, the recalibrated satellites were ready. Dr. Liu gave the confirmation, "Second strike is a go." General Davis, with a determined look, commanded, "Execute Strike 2." This time, the EMPs hit with greater intensity and variation, causing significant disruptions to the alien shields. Several more ships began to falter, their descent into the atmosphere more pronounced. Success on multiple targets. "We have them on the back foot," a technician shouted, the room erupting in cautious optimism. However, the alien response was swift and severe. Sorlox, realizing the persistent threat from Earth's defenses, ordered a partial ground invasion as a diversion. "Deploy ground units. We must engage them directly to secure our position," he decreed. As alien troops began to descend, Mia's team was among the first to engage. "Incoming. Defensive positions. Let's show them what Earth is made of," she rallied her unit, as they prepared to confront the alien ground forces. The battle was about to become more direct and more dangerous than ever before, as human ingenuity faced off against alien resolve in the skies and on the ground. The fate of Earth hung in the balance, with each side determined to emerge victorious. As dawn broke over the horizon, the alien troops descended into the major cities around the world, their sleek armor reflecting the early morning light. On the streets of Manhattan, Sergeant Miachin led her squad into position, their weapons trained on the dark figures rapidly approaching from above. "Positions, everyone! Hold your fire until my mark," Mia commanded, her voice steady over the din of scrambling forces and distant explosions. In the skies, the alien ships, now sporadically losing control due to the continued EMP assaults, attempted to regroup. Sorlox, on his flagship, watched with a cold fury as his fleet struggled to maintain altitude. "Stabilize the crafts. Focus on the major resistance centers. I want those EMP sources destroyed," he ordered his crew, his voice laced with irritation. Back at the Pentagon, General Davis and Dr. Emily Liu monitored the situation, the walls of screens around them flickering with real-time battlefield updates. "Dr. Liu, what's the status of our satellite forces? Can we keep up the pressure?" Davis asked, his gaze fixed on a screen showing a map dotted with alien and human positions. "We're pushing them to their limits, General. But the aliens are adapting quicker now. We need a new angle, something they won't expect, Dr. Liu responded, her fingers flying over her laptop as she analyzed the data. On the ground in Manhattan, the alien troops made landfall, their advanced weaponry firing bursts of energy that scorched the earth and buildings around them. Mia and her squad ducked behind their makeshift barricades, the air thick with the smell of ozone and burning materials. "Now!" Mia shouted, signaling her squad to return fire. The street erupted in a cacophony of gunfire and energy blasts, a fierce and desperate battle for control unfolding in the heart of the city. Meanwhile, at the United Nations, the Secretary-General convened an emergency meeting with world leaders, who watched the unfolding chaos with a mix of horror and resolve. "We must support our ground troops with all available resources. The alien forces are strong, but they are not invincible," the Secretary-General proclaimed, his voice echoing in the tense room. In response to the ground invasion, urban warfare tactics were employed globally. In cities like Paris, Moscow, and Beijing, civilians were evacuated to safe zones while military and local forces engaged the alien soldiers in intense street-to-street combat. As the battle raged on, Dr. Liu had a breakthrough. "General, I think we can exploit the aliens' communication network. Their ground troops are heavily reliant on it for coordination." "Detail, Doctor. What do you need?" Davis asked, his interest piqued. "If we can insert a disruptive algorithm into their network, we might disorient them long enough to push them back, possibly even disable their ground forces temporarily," Dr. Liu explained, her eyes bright with the possibility. "Make it happen, Doctor. Use whatever resources you need," Davis ordered, turning to his aides. "Prepare for a cyber offensive on my mark." Within minutes, Dr. Liu coordinated with the cyber warfare unit, launching a complex digital assault on the alien communication lines. The effect was immediate and disorienting for the alien troops, their movements becoming erratic, their firing patterns off. On the streets, Mia noticed the sudden confusion among the alien ranks. "Push forward. They're faltering," she yelled, leading her squad out from cover to take the offensive. The alien commander on the ground, unable to maintain order, signaled for retreat, his forces pulling back amidst the chaos of disrupted commands and failing technology. "Sorlox, we must withdraw to recalibrate. Our ground forces are compromised," the commander reported via a secured line. "Make it so. Regroup above the atmosphere. We will reassess our strategy," Sorlox responded, his tone betraying a hint of desperation. As the alien forces withdrew, cheers erupted from human fighters across the globe. In the Pentagon, General Davis allowed himself a small smile. "Well done, Dr. Liu. Well done, everyone." The victory was celebrated, but all knew it was only a respite. The war was not over, but Earth's defenders now had renewed hope and a new strategy. They had proven that human ingenuity and courage could hold the line against a seemingly superior foe. The battle for Earth would continue, but for now, they had won the day. As the sun rose over a battered but resilient Earth, the temporary retreat of the alien forces gave humanity a much-needed moment to regroup and strategize. In the Pentagon's Central Command, General Davis convened an urgent meeting with global military leaders, top scientists, and cyber warfare specialists. "Yesterday, we demonstrated that we could exploit their weaknesses," General Davis began, his voice echoing in the room filled with attentive faces. "But we should expect a counter-response. We need to capitalize on our momentum and further disrupt their operations." Dr. Emily Liu stepped forward, the latest data projections lighting up the screens behind her. "Our analysis of the alien communication disruption was effective, but I believe we can take it a step further. I propose we develop a more potent version of the virus to permanently cripple their communication systems." General Davis nodded, his eyes narrowing thoughtfully. "What resources will you need, Dr. Liu?" "Access to their signal algorithms for a start. We intercepted partial data during the last cyber attack, which could lead us to their main communication hub in space," Dr. Liu explained, her demeanor serious yet hopeful. "Authorize it." "Let's get to work on that immediately," Davis confirmed, turning to his cyber team. Support Dr. Liu in every way. Simultaneously, in the ruins of Manhattan, Sergeant Mia Chen coordinated with her units to fortify their positions. Amidst the debris, her team set up new defensive perimeters, expecting another alien attempt at landing. Keep your eyes sharp and weapons ready. We've won a battle, not the war, Mia instructed her team, checking her own equipment. As the teams on Earth prepared, Dr. Liu and her cyber specialists worked tirelessly. Hours turned into intense focus as they pieced together the alien communication protocols from the intercepted data. "We've got a breakthrough," exclaimed one of the techs late into the night. "We can inject a cascading virus into their system, which will replicate uncontrollably, sowing chaos in their command structure." Dr. Liu reviewed the code rapidly. "Implement it immediately. General Davis, we're ready to deploy the virus." "Proceed," Davis ordered, his voice resolute over the secure line. The virus was launched silently into the depths of space, targeting the alien communication satellites. Within minutes, the effect was evident. Reports from satellite monitoring stations showed unusual activity in the alien fleet's maneuvers. On Sorlox's flagship, confusion reigned. "What is happening to our systems?" Sorlox demanded, his voice rising in frustration as screens around him flickered and failed. "Our communication hub is compromised." "We are trying to isolate the breach," replied his chief technician, his fingers flying over the controls in a futile attempt to stem the digital onslaught. As the alien fleet struggled, General Davis seized the opportunity. "All units, this is our moment. Initiate all-out offensive. Target their main ships now compromised by the virus." Back on Earth, Mia received her orders. "You heard the general. Move out. Target those ships directly above us," she rallied her troops, pointing towards the now visible ships struggling in the lower orbit. The global military forces launched a synchronized attack using everything from ground-based missiles to high-altitude jets, all focusing on the vulnerable alien crafts. Explosions lit up the sky as several alien ships took direct hits, their damaged systems unable to defend against the intense barrage. Seeing his fleet in disarray and his options dwindling, Sorlox made a decisive call. "Prepare for emergency withdrawal. We must regroup and reassess. This planet's defenses have exceeded our predictions." As the alien forces began their retreat into space, cheers erupted across the globe. People streamed out of shelters and homes, watching as the night sky was lit by the retreat of the alien invaders. In the Pentagon, General Davis allowed himself a rare smile, watching the reports flood in of falling alien crafts. "Excellent work, Dr. Liu, and to all our forces. Today, we turn the tide." Dr. Liu, exhausted but exhilarated, nodded in acknowledgement. "Thank you, General." It was a combined effort. As the world celebrated, Mia and her team watched the skies, knowing the threat was not over but that they had achieved a significant victory. "They'll think twice now before trying to invade Earth again," Mia said to her team, their faces illuminated by the light of a new dawn. The day marked a critical turning point in the battle for Earth, with human ingenuity, unity, and courage having shifted the balance of power. However, the war was not yet over, and the future remained uncertain as humanity prepared for the next phase of the conflict. In the aftermath of the global victory against the alien invaders, Earth slowly began to heal from the scars of battle. Cities around the world, once scenes of chaos and destruction, now buzzed with the sounds of reconstruction and renewal. At the United Nations, a special assembly was convened to celebrate the resilience and bravery of the human spirit. The Secretary General stood at the podium, addressing the gathered leaders from across the globe, his voice resonant and filled with gravitas. "Today, we stand united not just in victory, but in the promise of a future where such threats find us even more prepared. Let us pledge to maintain this unity, to foster peace and to protect our world together." President Martinez, who had become a symbol of Earth's resistance, took to the podium amidst thunderous applause. "This victory is yours," she said, gesturing to the assembly and then to the cameras broadcasting worldwide. "It belongs to the brave souls who stood on the front lines, to the brilliant minds who outsmarted a formidable foe, and to every citizen who believed in our cause. Meanwhile, at the Pentagon, General Davis convened with his advisors and military staff to review the lessons learned and to strategize future defenses. Let's ensure we're never caught off guard again. We'll need to strengthen our space surveillance and enhance our cyber defenses, he stated firmly, his team nodding in agreement. Dr. Emily Liu was also there, her latest project involving the reverse engineering of alien technology. We have a unique opportunity to leap forward in our technology capabilities, she explained to the group. Studying the remnants of the alien ships could unlock advancements in energy, propulsion, and more. In the streets of Manhattan, Sergeant Miachin walked through the neighborhoods she had helped defend, her presence a comforting sight to the residents rebuilding their lives. She stopped by a makeshift memorial for the fallen, where pictures, flowers, and candles had been laid. Never thought I'd see the city like this, she remarked to her companion, Lieutenant Jacobs. We did good, Mia. We all did, Jacobs replied, clapping her on the shoulder. Yes, we did. But let's keep our eyes open. Who knows what else is out there, Mia responded, her gaze drifting up to the clear blue sky. That evening, a global broadcast was aired, featuring stories of heroism and unity. Families of the fallen were honored, and those who had fought bravely were recognized. The broadcast ended with a message of hope and vigilance, a reminder that while the immediate threat was over, the need for readiness was not. Back at the United Nations, discussions were underway about forming a new global coalition for space defense, with the Secretary-General proposing an international pact. We must take this cooperation into the cosmos, ensuring that space remains a realm of peace, he suggested. As night fell, people around the world looked up at the stars with a new sense of wonder and a new measure of caution. The alien threat had been repelled, but the universe was vast and full of unknowns. In a quiet moment alone, General Davis reviewed the global security reports, his mind always on the next challenge. Dr. Liu joined him, handing over a tablet with the latest data from the alien tech analysis. We're making progress, General. And who knows? Maybe this technology could one day help us explore further than we ever imagined, she said, a hint of excitement in her voice. Davis looked up at her, a slight smile crossing his face. Perhaps it will, Dr. Liu. For now, let's make sure we're ready for whatever comes next. As the world continued to heal and rebuild, the unity forged in the fires of conflict remained, a testament to humanity's enduring spirit. The victory was not just over an alien foe, but over the divisions that had once separated humankind. In the face of the vast, mysterious cosmos, Earth stood united, its people ready to face whatever challenges might come their way in the future.